In this video, we're going to look at classes of elements, and there are different ways that you can classify the elements that are on our current periodic table. You can look at them by what state of matter they are at room temperature and kind of organize all the liquids, the solids, and the gases in that way. You could look at whether or not they are found naturally or if they're man-made. You can also look at just some general properties that elements have. Some elements act or have more metallic properties, some are more like nonmetals, and then there's the in-between where they have some metal properties and some nonmetals, and those would be metalloids. If you take a look at this periodic table, similar to the one that you have, only this one's color-coded, this one just is organized by some family types. There's actually several different things happening here. But the metals in your periodic table are going to be where you see here aluminum kind of cut off. And then you have this stair-step feature. So everything underneath this stair-step and over, that includes these. These are all of your metals. And the boron, silicone, these that are kind of purple, so this right here, so it's almost like a staircase, but aluminum kind of messes that up. Those are your metalloids because those are kind of in between. And then everything above the staircase, this way, these are all non-metals. So you have more metals on your periodic table than you have anything else. Some properties of these different classes. Metals are good conductors of heat and electricity. So if you if you know anything about wiring, or if you ever see any wiring done, you're going to see that it's made out of metal. And that's usually why your pots and pans are always metal as well, because they conduct heat. And normally metals are going to be solid at room temperature. There's only one exception, and that's mercury. Room temperature, that one's a liquid. Everything else is a solid at room temperature. Some other properties, they are malleable. Malleable means that you can hammer it, hit it, bend it without it shattering. Ductile means that it can get drawn into wire, which is important for how it gets put into wiring for houses. And they vary in how reactive they are with other elements. So some metals are very reactive. Other metals are not very reactive at all, so it really, because there's so many metals, there's a big difference in how they react. You also have a group called the transition metals, and if you were count the families across the columns from left to right, you're going to find that there's 18 total columns. So if you're looking for the transition metals, you would find those in group 3 through 12. These are really known for distinctive colors, so you would see a lot of these in different fireworks and such because of the very vibrant distinctive colors that they give off. And then there's another group of metals called inner transition metals, and these are the ones that are pulled out and kind of at the very bottom of your periodic table. Normally we have the lanthanide series, which is 57 through number 70. Again, that's looking at your atomic numbers. And the actinide series, which is 89 to 102. Now there are a few periodic tables that are one off from that, that go from 58 to 71 and 90 to 103. But again, those are going to be the ones that you see at the very, very bottom of your periodic table. We also have nonmetals. Nonmetals are pretty much the opposite. They are very poor conductors of heat and electricity. Normally they are gases at room temperature. There are 3 or 4 that are solids and 1 liquid. The majority of them are gases. And the solid nonmetals that there are, again there's only a handful, are very brittle, meaning that if you were to try and bend it, it would just break in half or crumble in your fingers. And then that third group were metalloids, and metalloids kind of fall somewhere in between. They butt up against the metals and the nonmetals, so they have some characteristics of both. All right. Alright, so there is definite variation across a period. Remember, a period are the ones that go left to right. So if you're looking at a periodic table, this is the one that starts here, and if you look at a whole entire row, all the elements that are in there. Now you're going to start with metals over on this side, and as you work your way across, you're eventually going to hit maybe a few metalloids. As you move even further to the right, you get over here to the very end ones, you're going to hit non-metals. So, no, this is going to cover up the picture I just drew, sorry about that. But in a period, the elements become less metallic and more non-metallic. Again, as you move across the period from left to right, you are going to get less and less metallic and more like a non-metal.